Do you want to give your photos that old school film look? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you 3 different ways that we can do that. Level 1, probably the superest and easiest way to achieve this film look. Again, that we're going to be looking for the film stock Kodak V3 500T. In this second version here that we're going to do, we're going to be using the Super 16 app. Level 3, we're going to be using the Dehancer plugin. The Dehancer plugin works in Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom. This thing is absolutely fantastic. 500T, and again, 500 stands for the ISO, T stands for tungsten, right? Because back in the day, they didn't have ISO control like we just can dial in our ISO. They dialed their ISO in by film stock. Now this is another fantastic app that allows me to get the film look. And actually these are, I know this is available on iPhone, so if you have Android or iPhone, it doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and jump into here. Again, we're going to be looking for that Kodak V3 500T. And if we go down in here, we can see at the bottom, we have Kodak Vision 50D. So you can see here, I've got it loaded up here. It's a filter that you basically go into in Photoshop, and then you'll be able to load it up here. So right here off the back, I have different types of my film types. If you look here, I have this massive list of color negatives, motion picture, color positive, black and white, instant, blah, 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 and cross, and all these other ones. So I'm gonna go to motion picture, and then if you scroll into this next one, into the profiles, here it is. We have Kodak Vision 3 500T. Go ahead and slap that on there. Stock. So I'm gonna use the Filmo app. So if we quickly jump into here, boom, I go to Filmo, and inside of the film stock that I have available in the Filmo, if you look down here, I have available, there it is, Kodak Kodo V3 500T. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on this. Super easy. We drop in the film that we want, click on here, add our photo in. I'm gonna go ahead and select my photo, same photo, there it is. Go ahead and hit confirm. You can adjust maybe the aspect ratio if I wanted to 2 to 3, 1 to 1. I'm just gonna leave it at 2 to 3, and I'm just gonna leave everything stock. I'm just gonna go ahead and hit import. Now it's developing. Boom, there it is. Fantastic. Level 1, super easy to get the film look. Again, going back to the ISO, this will be an ISO 50. D stands for daylight, basically daylight balance. And then again, we have 50D. Now one is basically raw before they would process the film. This is basically straight off the roll and just review it. And then process or printed would be after they did a little bit of color correction to it. And so that will be the final output. So here's 200T. There's 250D, and then here it is 500T, and we're gonna go to 500T printed, okay, Kodak V 500T. Now we got a little bit more control in this app versus than we did in the Filmo app. The Filmo app was basically you drop it in and that's it, it's done, right? Now if I tap onto the screen here, you can see at the bottom, now I have control. I got color temperature, I got tint, saturation, I can also control. There's a lot more settings in here that I have control over. Now, film grain, I can add a little bit more grain to it. Film grain size, I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. Smoothness, chroma, gate weave. The gate weave is when you're basically looking at the film. The film would actually move a little bit in the projector, and it would kind of go out of focus a little bit. That was gate weave, moving around and shaking. You got light leak. We also have effects, optics, basically chromic aberration. Try to say that, basically the chromic. And then one of my favorites here, if I can scroll down here, we got basically scratches and stuff like that, how old the film would look. And then we have film halation, which we didn't have in the other one. Again, when we're doing film, you would have this halation, is basically that little bit of a red halo around contrasted areas where basically black is on white and white is on black. You would have this contrasted halation glow around it, red. All right, if you guys are finding any value in this video, take a moment to smash that like button for me. Thanks. So what I'm gonna do here, a lot of the settings, I like to keep them as close to stock because I don't really know too much exactly how deep this thing goes. So I keep it very subtle with my adjustments right off the back here. But I do know here, if you go to source, basically here we can control our color temperature, our tint composition, basically our tint, the green or magenta, defringe, and defringe radius. So I like where it's at, but I do want to have that little bit of blue. I remember the other one we used, it was a little bit more warmer. I'm gonna go, this day was a little bit cooler because it was an overcast day. So I'm gonna go ahead and just slightly tweak that to the cooler side, like right about there. Then we have expand, which we have our black point, and we also have our white point here. So again, if I adjust the black point, you can see here it basically lightens everything up, and if we go to the black point, it kind of crushes everything down. I like where it's at here. I will knock the white point down just a little bit. That's going up. Let's go the opposite direction just a little bit because we got this big white wall here, right? Okay, so then here we go to print. Next we have some profiles. Again, like if it was basically emulating if it was on the paper or if it was a film stock. Again, we wanted the film stock, so I'm gonna go down to Kodak 2383 film print film. I'm gonna click on that there, and then again, it looked like it even shifted a little bit more towards the warm side, right? So I'm gonna go back up here to my temperature, and I'm gonna go back a little bit and shift it towards that color, the cooler side, right about there. I like that. Then we got target white, exposure. I do the exposure, I got it as close as in camera as possible. Whenever I shoot photography, I try to get it as close, as perfect as possible when you're shooting it. It's the same when I do when I'm filming. It's a Roger Deakins tip there. Red. And then so I got my photo loaded in here, and boom, this is their version of the Kodak 500T. Now you can see it's a little bit, it looks a little bit different. The other one in level 1 was a little bit more cooler. This one, it looks like it's a little bit more warmer, but that's no problem because I can tweak the color temperature if I wanted to, but I'm just gonna leave it straight out of the box. You know, you have control here, and just leave it exactly like this. And then I'm gonna go ahead, and if I want, I can add a frame on the outside of like the film stock frame, but I don't wanna do that. I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna save as. I can save it as a 15-second video clip, 30-second, 1 minute, or a photo. We want a photo. So a lot more options here, basically. And then boom, there it is. Let's go to our gallery and then back up here and take a look at our photo. And boom, there it is. There's our photo. A little bit different, but then we got the halation on there. I think this is a little bit more closer to what we might actually see with the real film stock. So, and then we got tonal contrast, color density. I like to turn that up. Matter of fact, I just crank it up all the time. And then we got our saturations. One other thing here that I like that's really more authentic, we have analog range limits. Basically, the film in real life would have a limit as far as the bottom and the top as being highlights and the shadow. I like to turn that on because it getting closer to what we know the actual film. Then color head, because back in the days, this is color grading. They just basically will shift the colors over, the yellows, the blues, the magentas, the greens, the crayon, the cyan, and basically the red. That was color grading back in the day, right? So I normally gain all of these together, and then I'll just shift it to one side to see what I like. Here you see it's a little bit more aqua greenish. If I go to the other side, it's a little bit more magenta. So I think I like where it's at. I'm basically gonna keep it right. I'm actually gonna go right back there in the middle again. I don't wanna tweak too much because I wanted to keep the photos so we can compare them all, right? And then we have preserve, exposure, impact. Now to the good stuff here. Here we have our film grain. Now the film grain here is analog. It's like based off of the shadows and the highlights. It's very detailed compared to some of the other stuff that we were using. Here, one thing I do is I crank up resolution all the way up, and I pretty much leave everything else the same. And the mount, it is a little bit heavy. So what I'm gonna do is cut that in half. I'm gonna knock that down to 10. All right, so we got that at 10. And then here, halation. Again, we have the halation in the Super 16 that we have it here. And again, I like to keep it subtle. If you click this mask button, it will show you what the halation is actually affecting here. And then if anything, I'm gonna take the impact and I'm gonna crank it up to like just a little bit, 85. Just a little bit more pop on it, right? And then if I hit the unmask button, and then boom, there we can see the halation kicking in right there. Very nice. I really love the halation here. I really love this next feature. My super favorite is the bloom. Again, if you don't have like a Pro Mist filter, this bloom is like so close to, like, I have a Pro Mist and like I put them both on and like this is really close. So typically whenever I use the halation, I also use in combination with the bloom. And again, if we mask it, we can see what it's blooming out, and it's that circle area right there. Again, I'm gonna keep it where it's at because I like that. That looks really nice. Look at that, without and with. makes a big difference. I really like the bloom there. And then we have at the bottom here our vignette. I'll put a small vignette on it, nothing too big. I keep that stock there also. And then boom, this is what we got coming out of the Dehancer. Now Dehancer is absolutely fantastic. They also make another plugin for video, which I use in DaVinci Resolve. You will need a GPU to run these, but man, if you have the system and you can do it, I advise definitely trying this out because it's absolutely fantastic. They were kind enough to send me out a coupon code for you guys, 10% off. If you throw in the name Patrick LeVar at checkout, you'll get 10% off. Definitely take advantage of that. So this is what we got here. Let's go ahead and hit save. All right, there it is. And if we can see our old photo, here's before, and then here's after, and before and after. Fantastic. So that's level 3 with the Dehancer plugin. So out of our 3 photos, they each have their own unique look, and we did the process a little bit different for each one. Find out which one works best for you. Also, if you're interested, this same Dehancer plugin can be used on video. They have a separate Dehancer just for video. Take a look at this video here and you can take a look at that. And down below, I have a 10% discount off if you guys use the the code word Patrick LeVar at checkout, save 10% off. Hope you guys enjoy. Patrick LeVar, keep filming. It's the only way you'll get better. Peace.